Hello and welcome to Compliance Matters. I'm Robert Johnson from Middlesex Partnership, and today I'm joined by Jennifer Horsfield, a CCO and compliance expert with a background in leading compliance within international and private banking, as well as consulting firms in regulatory distress. Hi Jennifer, welcome.
Hello Rob, thank you.
Today we're going to be talking about whistleblowing. So Jennifer, recently the FCA have confirmed that they are making changes to the whistleblowing processes. Is this to encourage more whistleblowers, do you think?
Okay, if we look at the historical whistleblowing data from the FCA and the PRA, the FCA are showing an average of about 100 reports per month, and the PRA around half that. 85% of these are referred to supervision. So whistleblowing to the regulator should be a concern to firms. The FCA carried out a survey. It was a very small sample, and this showed that whistleblowers to themselves had a level of dissatisfaction. And this is what's behind the FCA's changes to the process. They want to encourage more whistleblowers. So I think the answer is probably yes, they are looking to encourage more whistleblowers. But firms need to be aware that whistleblowers to the regulator could be an indication of something wrong within your own firm. 9 out of 10 of firms in regulatory distress that I've worked with, the CEO believes whistleblowing was one of the catalysts to the investigation.
So in what way should firms be concerned?
Well, I think for someone to whistleblow to the regulator, it shows that there's something wrong with the firm's internal whistleblowing processes, or that the staff feel unable to raise concerns at all within the firm. Firms need to be questioning themselves. When did they last do whistleblowing training? Not just basic whistleblowing training, but training to senior management, training specific to the whistleblowing champion. If managers aren't trained to identify protected disclosures or whistleblows, or are discouraged from reporting it, staff will be pushed towards making formal whistleblowing reports to the regulator. It's much easier for a firm to handle these situations internally and actually have action plans for weaknesses, any weaknesses that they might have. I've got a recent example, and it's outside the financial services industry, but very relevant. A friend of mine was very concerned about fire safety at her place of work. In fact, the senior manager kept turning off the fire alarms. She was too frightened for her job to report it internally and had to make a protected disclosure externally. And that's a typical example of why people make external whistleblowing reports. Firms that proactively encourage their staff to raise concerns internally puts them in a much stronger position. And as I said before, with such a high proportion of external whistleblowers feeding into supervisory requests, which take time and money. So while the FCA is encouraging more individuals to make whistleblowing reports, I think the right thing for firms to be doing is to looking at their own whistleblowing procedures and culture and doing the same internally for themselves.
But doesn't having whistleblowing events in the firm's MI cause concern? These are discoverable documents and they may need to be shared with the regulator.
Yes, they may need to be shared with the regulator. But no, I don't think having whistleblowing events in your MI should be a cause for concern. Personally, I prefer to know what's going on in the firm. Now, your whistleblowing champion and NEDs, other NEDs, might be unnerved by high numbers, but having no whistleblowing events is also a concern that firms should have. The more you improve the culture within the firm, the more concerns will be raised by staff because they will feel that they are able to talk. I've seen this proactively unearth all sorts of problems in a firm, but enable that firm to actually make the right remediation choices, prioritize those choices, and develop and mature their compliance and culture across the firm.
So the benefit really is to let the firm know where it's going wrong and give them the opportunity to address those issues internally without having to go externally to a regulator.
Absolutely. And I think that senior management won't always know if there's a problem with a system or something else. And if you've got that blockage internally where staff are frightened to raise it or go above their immediate manager, you're never going to know where your problems are. So knowing what is going on in your firm is so important.
So isn't there an issue then potentially with whistleblowers whistleblowing to protect their jobs? Should firms be concerned about that?
This is a funny one because I think back in the 90s, this was a real concern. In fact, my CEO at the time was very concerned about it. People blowing the whistle to protect their jobs. And so I went along to a couple of tribunals to follow a couple of whistleblowing cases in the financial sector. Both of these were clearly whistleblowing to protect their jobs. I'm not saying that what they whistle-blew about wasn't a protected disclosure, it was, but the reason for losing their job was not whistleblowing. The outcome of both those cases was that the courts saw through that and they both lost their cases. So I don't think firms need to worry about it. Yes, it's a pain for firms, it's a legal expense, etc. But whistleblowing to protect your job is not going to serve anyone who does it any favours.
But not every whistleblowing event can be real.
No, they're not. I think most of them are made in good faith. And depending on the size of the firm, the amount that individuals know that's going on in a firm will vary dramatically. That doesn't mean you discourage them. Where people just don't know and they've got a concern about something, you might have a major IT program in 3-6 months' time that is going to resolve the problem. You already know about it. So just tell them that you senior management is aware and it's being dealt with, and this is the timeline that it's going to be dealt with. Do they have any further concerns? That's assuming that it's not an anonymous whistleblow. If it is anonymous, maybe it's something that you could cover off in your town hall. These are the plans for this without raising the concern or anything else. So I think a lot of them are well-placed concerns, but just without all the facts.
Okay. If whistleblowing and culture go hand in hand, what does good look like then?
I think if you have a really good top-down culture of listening and communicating with your staff, it will result in a bottom-up culture of communication of issues before they become a problem. I've got a very good example of a firm that had an excellent culture. When an IT member of staff raised a specific concern, which had a potentially catastrophic impact on that firm, it was something that we were able, because it had been raised informally, to resolve very quickly with the right people, and basically, with the benefit of hindsight, potentially save the firm. I think it's important also to point out that problems do occur in firms, and the regulator does genuinely understand that. But what you need to be is agile enough to deal with them as and when they occur. And this is where that open culture that makes people's voices heard gives you the edge on being able to deal with your issues.
So in the end, whistleblowing, good for the business if the culture is there to react to the issues that are being raised by whistleblowers and isn't afraid of, meeting that challenge head on.
Absolutely. But we're not just talking about, we're talking about culture in a wider sense, not just whistleblowing. So if people feel that they can talk to you and you've got an open culture, your whistleblowing events are going to go down. And this is why, going back to the MI on whistleblowing, none is a cause for concern, lots is a cause for concern, but maybe you need another set of MI on staff-raised issues or issues raised by staff that aren't protected disclosures, to demonstrate communication within the firm. I don't know what the answer is there, but it's definitely something that we should all be exploring.
Well, Jennifer, thank you very much. That was a great insight into whistleblowing, how it can benefit an organisation and how they really ought to be embracing people raising concerns internally. This is Middlesex Partnership Compliance Matters. I'm Rob Johnson. I look forward to seeing you again.